Hello everyone, I am Anakin Blitz coming back for another World of Tanks Blitz video, and today we'll be having a look at the Leopard 1, the tier 10 German medium tech tree tank in World of Tanks Blitz, and this is, in my opinion, one of the hardest tanks to play in tier 10, but also one of the most fun and strongest tier 10 mediums in the game, and we're going to be looking at everything you need to know about this tank, the stats of this tank, my overall opinion on this tank, as well as how to play this tank, the overall playstyle of this tank, how to play this tank, how to be better in this tank. So we are just going to be doing a full-on review / guide on the Leopard 1. This video has been requested by multiple people, some in the comments, but also by my good friend and deputy, JW Plays wotblitz. He has just gotten the Leopard 1, and I'm going to be making this video for him as well to help out, but also to anyone else that may need some help on this tank, because this tank is a very fun tank that a lot of people have, but also a tank that's a bit difficult to play for a lot of people will struggle in this tank. So it has a really unique playstyle, some very unique stats, an overall very unique tank, and a really fun tank as well. So I'm going to be doing a full-on guide / review, as you could see from the title of this video. So before we get into this video, if you are new to my channel, if you enjoy my content, then please consider hitting that subscribe button below. According to the YouTube stats, I think only 30% now are subbed. Obviously makes sense since my channel is growing and more people just stumble upon the channel. But if you are one of those villagers having to stumble upon my channel, and if you're enjoying my content, if you want to see more, then yeah, hitting that subscribe button is like the best way to help. Of course, if you don't, then that's totally fine as well. And if you enjoy the video as well, then feel free to hit the like button and share the video with your friends and with anyone else that you may know. It really helps out a lot. But also, thank you all so much for 500 subs. We passed 500 subs a couple days ago. Really crazy how many we are getting recently. But that's pretty much all I have for now. We're just going to get straight into this video on the Leopard 1. If you are planning on getting the Leopard 1, I will also explain overall my opinion on whether this tank is worth it. And if you have this tank, if you need some help on it, just keep watching this video and I will go over the Leopard 1. Starting off, we're going to get straight into the statistics of this tank, and we're going to first look at just overall what is really strong about this tank and what is a bit weak. The strengths on this tank are the gun. The gun is exceptionally good, in my opinion, the best gun of all of tier 10 or pretty much in the game. And it's just a really nice gun. The mobility is also great, but it does lack in the armor and a few other things. But first of all, we're just going to get into the stats of the gun. This tank has the highest damage per minute of any tier 10 medium tank in the entire game, which is absolutely insane. You're going to see that with the gun rammer mounted, which I would highly suggest. I'll explain later about the equipments. You will have a 3,668 damage per minute, which is just insane. A crazy amount of damage per minute. Now we're going to get into the penetration. Standard penetration is also really solid at 255 millimeters of APCR pen, which is really nice. You're going to have a very nice 350 average damage per shot, which lets you trade with some other enemy mediums like a 62A that only does 310, but I will explain the playstyle later of this tank because it is a bit of a complicated tank to play. Now, everything else you can see is really nice. You can see there's just amazing stats, but the premium pen does lack at only 300 millimeters of heat penetration. That is one issue, but you just don't have to use heat too much, really. There's just not too much of a need for heat unless you're up against like an E100 or something, and if you are, then the premium pen can still somewhat do something. So Dispersion is amazing. You have some good aiming time as well. It's a bit lower than the T62A, but it still is good. And the dispersion is really nice. You have very nice accuracy factors. You can see with the good dispersion on move, on rotating, and all that is really nice. 9 degrees of gun impression is really good. You're able to use like some ridge lines, use gun impression positions as well. And you have good elevation as well. The mobility is really nice. You have an amazing 65 km/h top speed. It's at 23 in reverse. And you have some good power to weight ratios and traverse speeds as well. And the concealment is decent. It's a bit low, but it's not terrible. And your spotting range is also not terrible. And now we're going to look into the armor profile, which is nothing. There's absolutely no armor on this tank whatsoever. Even in a full gun impression position using all of your gun impression, you will not really bounce. Now we're gonna you will get occasional gun bounces off of the gun mantlet, because you can see this tank does have a gun mantlet, but it's still very hard to bounce this tank. You will get occasional bounces off the upper plate if it's angled enough. You can see that's 260 millimeters, but it's just basically no armor. The side armor is HDable to pretty much most tanks in tier 10. You can see with only like about 40 millimeters, you don't have spaced armor on this either, and the rear armor is just horrible. Obviously, this tank does not have any armor to rely on, which makes it extremely difficult to play. Even a Vickers light, or those like some of those lights like a Bat Chat have more armor than this. This tank has absolutely no armor, but that is the stats. Now we're going to get into how to play this tank. Regarding the playstyle of this tank, it's a bit of a hard to play, and a lot of tanks it's a really unique playstyle. It's a bit different, and it's a bit tricky to play, but it is basically how to do. So I will be explaining how to play the Leopard 1 now. So this tank has absolutely no armor, as you saw earlier. It has very, very nice mobility, and it has an insanely accurate gun, and a really nice damage per minute and damage as well. And you also have some good gun impression angles, which means you are able to use gun impression positions, but keep in mind that you do not have a turret that you can rely on. You will get occasional bounces from the gun mantlet, but it really is hard to get bounces. You cannot rely on any armor of this tank, and that is something to really keep in mind. This tank, you have to play extremely passive. In fact, there's a lot of times that you'll almost need a camp, but when I say camp, I don't mean to actually camp. I hate when people just camp in this tank, but also I hate when people try to frontline in this tank. First of all, this tank is not a STB. You cannot hold down in this tank effectively. You cannot hold a position, hold a ridgeline. This is not a 62A. You cannot just rush people. You cannot brawl, side hug. You cannot also hold a gun impression position. Obviously, you cannot side scrape. You cannot hold a position. You can't really rush people in this tank unless if you know that you can deal with them. So now we're just going to get into some replays here that I have to show you that will explain some things about this tank. So regarding the playstyle of this tank, we're just going to go through a few replays here that I have that I just managed to get on a day when teams are bad, and I just decided to get a few games out and just see what we had. And these are intentionally bad battles that I really screwed up because I wanted to show the common mistakes in the Leopard 1. These are extremely common mistakes that you'll see so many times when anyone plays this tank. And yeah, so basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to push Desert Sands med side, and just pausing this gameplay right here, we're going to notice this. What do we have on the enemy lineup? Because you always need to read your lineups, especially in this tank. It's extremely important. We have a 121B and a Vickers CR that we're up against on the med side, right? And what do we have on our side? We have a T92-1 and a Sheridan. So we are outnumbering the med side, in fact. But that doesn't mean that we're going to win the side because they have a T110E3, which I can kind of picture going over to the heavy side. Most likely it could go med, but not as likely. Then there's a Conway that can very likely be in the back if it has that the big gun. It's very likely to be in the back, somewhere around there that could get shots onto us. That is one thing that we need to keep in mind. As well as if the enemy team does push med with their heavies, then there's a T57 heavy and an E100 with slow. We don't have to worry about, same as the E75. But we're just going to be extremely careful. That's one thing that you always need to do in this tank. You need to be passive. The first thing that you would do when you start games, you want to spot. That's obviously something that you want to do. You need to spot and know where the enemy is going. So what I'm realizing is these meds don't really want to help me out. I'm seeing this 121B. I do know that there's something else in the back with a 400-ish alpha. Also, I do know that the Vickers CR is here. So one thing I'm doing right now, this is one big mistake I'm already making. As you can see on the minimap, I have no support. I have a light in the back, AFK or what, and then there's another light that just decided to go heavy. This means that I have no support. We have one heavy on the enemy side spotted over at heavy side, which is, oh god, as you can see, it is the E75, and then we have the two TDs, which both went heavy side. But we have the Vickers CR, which is still in spot, as well as the two heavies, which are likely to be there, but we still don't know. Even if it's just the two meds, we are outnumbered. I should be running, but I'm going to try to deal with this 121B. And this is a second mistake that I'm going to explain right now with this Leopard 1. This is one thing that may seem weird to you. You have a 350 alpha. It means you could trade with a lot of tanks. You cannot trade in this tank. That is one thing that you cannot do in this tank, and this is one thing that I've learned a while after like 100-ish, 50 battles, and you can see my career stats in this tank are absolutely horrible, sitting at only 1500 average damage and a 53% win rate, which is not really that great, and that is because my first battles in this tank, literally I was sitting at a 30% win rate and a 1100 average damage. And we're going to see that we're taken out easily right there by that 121B. You never want to make trades with this tank. You may think even if it's a T62A, you could make a trade because you'll do more alpha. Yes, you may do more damage to them, but trading will not work because you need to conserve your hit points. And that is the most important thing in this entire tank, in this entire playstyle, is conserving your hit points until the end of the game. Ideally, you would have at least 1200-ish, at least 2/3 of your hit points by mid to late game. That is ideal because then you're able to make trades with tanks, even like E100s and big alpha tanks. You're able to make those trades and just DPM the crap out of anyone and pretty much carry every match, but you need those hit points. It's extremely important to have hit points in this tank, and you need to save your hit points. Do not take unnecessary trades at the beginning of the map. Even if it seems like a decent trade, you may be doing more damage to them. Do not do it because unless if you know that there's no one there, if that's the only person that will shoot you, then, or even that, I would not take the trade. Just wait for people to be not looking at you. When people are not looking at you is the time to just unload your DPM on them. You need to be passive, lurk in the shadows in this tank, reposition when you have to, but you should never ever be staying in the same spot in this tank, really. And you saw that in that 1-2-1B thing. I could have went over, rotated over to the city side. I could have helped out the heavies. I could have taken a more passive position in the back, maybe near the rails where I was able to get some shots onto the 1-2-1B, let the Sheridan get in and help out. So I'm going to try to spot out here. That's one really important thing the Leopard 1 as well, is unless if you have like a light with you, you need to do the spot. You have the speed, you have the mobility, you have the spotting range, so you can basically spot in this tank. And I'm going to just try to take a blind shot into the bush, and then I'm going to realize that, okay, they're not here. They're literally not here because I couldn't have spotted them, or I couldn't have not spotted them already if they were here. So we obviously know that they are on the med side. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up onto this little thing, which is makes sense because I want to get spots. We have good spotting range. I want to see if I can spot someone, maybe like a heavy, something like that. I want to just get some spots. I'm not going to see anything. But then I'm going to realize that, okay, there's a Leopard 1. Now this is just some common sense here, right? The Leopard 1, I spotted the Leopard 1. It's literally the exact same tank as me. He spotted me, obviously, so yeah, that means that literally I am exposed to the entire enemy team wherever everyone is has a shot at me. They have TDs, they have a 183 and a grill and a Hori, they have everyone else. This is already a bit dumb. Now what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to get a shot at the Leopard 1. I will get the shot, but and we basically trade. And sure, I low rolled a bit, he high rolled a bit, but that doesn't really matter too much because now I'm going to back down. That's obviously logical, right? And I'm going to count 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, obviously, I resetted my camo. What I'm going to do is I'm going to, so basically, that's another thing I forgot to mention is resetting your camo is really important in this tank. That's a really important thing in your playstyle. Obviously, 10 seconds, just count that. But here we go. Leo spotted me again, and there we go. Easy nukes from that, probably that grill. There we go. I just got nuked from that grill already, and that is already half of my hit points gone in 1 second, literally. You can see that obviously I had no point in doing that because I knew that if I were to poke again, I would be spotted. The Leopard 1 has a spotting range. Second of all, why be here? Not like I have a solid turret to hold down here. Not like I need to stay here in the first place. Because there's just absolutely no reason to be here. I could have gone anywhere else in the map, gotten some other shots off, but being right here, I'm basically the main target on their team. I'm basically literally free damage to them. Literally free damage. That was just stupid. So obviously by now I realized that, okay, that's really, that was really stupid. I was already, right when that happened, I was like, okay, time to use this in the video, literally. But, yeah, anyways, I'm gonna basically, like, go back into this, behind the lines. But you can see that now with only half hit points, I can't do too much. I could be a 1-shot to the TDs. I could be a 2-shot, a 3-shot to most of the tanks on the enemy team. I can't do too much late game, which is not a good idea. You need to keep your hit points. That's always an important thing. One thing that I noticed when I'm playing this tank, and this is something really important, I want you guys to all hear this. Most of my games where I get like top damage, I do really well in this tank when I get masteries. I start off with 0 damage for like literally half of the game. That's literally how it works for me. And I know that sounds stupid. It sounds like you're just being a noob. You're being a bot. You're just camping. But it really, you don't really have to do much damage at the start of the game. This tank has damage per minute for a reason. And you don't need to farm damage from the start of the game. You need to just do your things as a kind of a light, almost like at the start. Then you just kind of maybe get a shot here and there, but only take a shot when you know you're not going to get shot back. Only take a shot when you know no one is looking at you. Then rotate around once people know where you are. Just move around. Be constantly moving around. Then when the time comes, when it's late game, when there's like 3 enemies or 4 enemies left, then it's fine to use your hit points a bit to trade. You could bleed off from an E100, it's fine. and you can actually move in, be aggressive, use your damage per minute to your advantage. So now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to realize there's a T-62A. There's also someone else in the back, which is likely to be the Leopard 1, which probably rotated over to our spawn, right? So now it's fine to just stay here, but wait a minute. Do I have teammates? No, I have a medium on their spawn. I have a heavy there. I should, first of all, I wanted to go to our spawn mainly just to get spots, but now I realize that I can't really do much here. So obviously, our TDs can help out, but I'm going to be basically wrecked. So I should be running already by now. I spotted them, at least. Now it's time for our TDs to take over. Let the TDs, we have 3 TDs, literally 3 tank destroyers that can just absolutely wreck these guys. But I'm going to just stay here. I'm going to try to get a shot into that 62A. I'm going to basically just be in a trading place. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here to make sure he doesn't have enough gun impression. That's a little smart move, but not that smart now that he's able to get around here. But we do see that our TD helps out there. And that T-62A did something a bit stupid there, but that was just luck. Because now, what am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing? I literally pushed here blindly without thinking. I'm like, yay, we cleared the 62A, time to flank. Well, guess what? Our entire team is in the enemy spawn, and there's only like 1 guy there, maybe 2 guys. And obviously the rest of the enemy team is like here, right? And what am I doing here? Just YOLOing here. There's a TD there, there's a Leopard 1 there, and there. Easy loss. Or maybe it wasn't a loss, it was actually a win, but 1200 damage is a bit sad. But anyways, that is the bad games. Now I'm going to go into how to hopefully improve in some live battles here next. So now that we've gone over the playstyle of this tank, we've gone over some common mistakes, some replays of this tank, as well as the stats of this tank, we are now going to get into some live battles here, showing me playing live. This will hopefully show the mistakes that are commonly made, as well as me trying to play this tank correctly. And before we get into some live games, I'm just going to show my equipment, because this is something that a lot of people also ask about. So I run Gunrammer for a reason. This tank has a lot of DPM. I'd like more DPM. The standard penetration is already good enough. You could run calibrated for a bit more pen, as well as some premium pen, but I just don't see the point for calibrated, even though a lot of players use calibrated. I personally think that Gunrammer really helps out. You are getting nearly a half a second more, less of a reload, which is actually really nice. Now I'm just gonna go through these really quickly, and yeah, that's basically what I have for the equipment, but let's just get straight into some live gameplay here. Hopefully I don't suck, but this is live, and remember, I'm not playing for damage. If you want to see some crazy 10k damage games, just go find any other YouTube channel out there that just posts replays, but this is a live gameplay that I'm gonna hopefully show the playstyles, as well as the mistakes and all that type of stuff. So let's just, if we can ever get into a game. The most important thing as soon as you play this tank, as soon as you get in a game, read the lineup. We're up against an E50M, a Leopard 1 on the med side, as well as a 183 and a Jagger. Really, really important to pay attention to the TDs when you're playing this tank, because TDs will decide whether you win or lose. Okay, I think this is actually a perfect lineup, considering the fact that I'm alone on the med side for meds on our team, which will be very important, because this will happen a lot, and, well, yeah, the heavies are going to come, but the thing is, I'm basically the only med. So you need to be extreme fast, and you need to know when to run in this tank, as well as, alright, we already know there's a Leopard. I'd like to get some spots out before I were to run, but it looks like we see the heavies are actually pushing over to the heavy side, and I am very much alone. So before we run, I'm going to count a bit to reset our camo, to make sure that we, they don't just chase us down, but crap, alright, E50M. We're gonna get one shot into him, and then we're gonna realize that, yeah, we definitely need to run. This is not the best situation for us. You can see that this E50M is gonna get another shot into us, and the Leo might as well get a shot into us as well. Actually, they did miss, but here we go. Kron is now helping. We're able to get away. So this is just a thing that, here's a typical start of a match in the Leopard 1 where you're gonna need to run. That happens really often. Now, I need to just chill in the spawn and just chill, basically. When I say chill, it definitely does not mean camping. But one really important thing about this tank that I will make sure that you guys get from after watching this video is the Leopard 1, it's fine to not get much damage at the start of the battle. Of course, the pro players, like really good players, will still constantly get damage at the start, but you don't need, it's not necessary. It's not required to get damage at the start of the battle, because this tank has crazy DPM for a reason. What's way more important than just getting damage is conserving your hit points. It's extremely important to conserve your hit points, And also only like engage when you're not the main target. You see that I rushed this Leopard and this E50M because I knew that they were focused on the Kranwagen. Our Kranwagen needed a bit of help, but also I could have just gotten a bit of damage if I went in there, helped out, cleared that E50M. We can see that now this Leopard 1 needs to run because he is alone, and we are able to just farm the damage off of him. Now, he did get stuck. I'm not going to risk an HE. Actually, I could, but no, I'm not. Actually, I could have gotten an HE right into the rear of him. You know what? I'm going to risk the HE to be able to clear him in one shot. Nope, he turned around. Yeah, we're going to have to get one more shot out and in order to clear this guy. And you can see that, ow, this owl was extremely unfortunate. He will actually finish us off. I think he actually killed us. Wow, that's a bit sad. I don't know how I did that, but whatever. Anyways, the point I was saying is you don't want to, like, also, okay, this game basically showed one thing. I hope you, you realize that's one thing from this one game that I did something super stupid, but don't just, get too overconfident in this tank. Don't think, okay, I have these hit points, I have this damage per minute, I'm gonna rush this guy, because you saw what just happened with me in that Leopard 1. You need to know what you're going up against. That's extremely important. You can go up against, and you don't want to go up against like an STB1 in a hold down position, obviously. You don't want to go up against the Leopard 1 because he will DPM the crap out of you. You don't necessarily want to go up against certain tanks unless if you know you can actually go up against them. For example, I knew I could go up against that E50M easily because he was low on HP, he didn't have the best damage per minute, and he was not in the best scenario. I wanted to help out the Kranwagen as well. The Leopard 1 I didn't really want to go up against, but I had the Kron with me, which I will give him a team player. He helped out a bit on the med side. Yeah, so thank you, Kranwagen, and yeah, that is just one battle here. Now I'm gonna do I'm gonna do one more battle in this tank. Hopefully we're gonna get another battle. Now again, I'm not aiming for damage or anything, but I want to show some things about this tank. So we have Falls Creek. We're up against a E50M, a Bat Chat as the enemy mediums, as well as a 183 and a Yag once again. Okay, well, it's the same Kron. And, alright, anyways, so we have, yeah, the TDs are, something that you really need to pay attention to, as well as the meds. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna send my tank over to the corner, because the corner here, I'm able to, obviously I don't have turret armor, but I do have gun depression, which is nice. I want to go up here to the edge where I'm able to get some shots across. So let's just spot out this bush here, and what do we have? We have a Bat Chat. We're going to get a shot right into him, tracking him as well. Now, I probably did not need to pop that adrenaline, really, but we're seeing our 422 rush, and yeah, it definitely is a good idea to rush. As you can see on the mini-map, the enemy the other enemy med, which is the E50M, happens to be going over to the heavy side, which means that we're able to just clear this Bat Chat. There we go. We have him cleared. Now, this is a really nice for us because we're able to work the enemy spawn. We have the enemy spawn controlled as well as our 422 with us. We are able to control the enemy spawn. We're able to just get shots, use our DPM, just farm the enemies from behind, which is a very nice thing to have in this tank. Obviously not for the enemy. So 422 is pushing straight in. I'm gonna go behind because I'd like to farm these TDs a bit. TDs, of course, are one of the most dangerous tanks in the game, and definitely something that you will always want to clear out. So there's one shot right into that Yag. We have this crazy damage per minute, so I'm going to try to track this guy to make sure that he can't move. Well, we can't aim, so that's very, very, very sad. HE track, ow! Alright, well, he is finished off. That's fine. You see, this is why you really need to, obviously, I didn't really have anyone to bleed to on the med side, but this is why it's important to save your hit points, because that means that you're able to take a hit from a tank destroyer and still be fine. And you're able to easily out DPM tank destroyers, but sometimes you just have to take that one hit, and that one hit can kill you in most scenarios if you're not saving your HP, which is why it's so important to save your HP. Now, I'm not in the best of scenarios at the moment, because you can see that obviously this 183 can easily clear me. I'm gonna get a shot into him. Okay. Luckily, he fail-heshed, though. We're gonna just get a shot right into him. And, yeah, he's still reloading. Obviously, it's a 183. We're gonna just get another shot. Now we need to be a bit more careful, because, yeah, we're gonna let our teammates try to take a hit, hopefully, because obviously I'm a one-shot to AP, and even a fail-hesh will clear me. And this Kron wants to rush me and tunnel me. And yeah, this is not too fun. This is not gonna be fun at all. As you can see, ow. Yep, well, we have the Kron finished, and the 183, luckily he didn't go for us. There is another shot right into the 183 there. We're just going to turn around and hopefully get the final shot on him. There we go, finishing off the FV2 by the 183 in a decent game of around 3k damage, but I didn't really get to show going up against meds this round, but I did show how OP this tank really is. If you're able to get behind the enemy, if you're able to control the majority of the map, if you're able to get shots into people. Obviously, I kind of made a mistake poking on that Yag. That's one really important thing in this tank is be careful when you poke, because you may think that you could get one more shot out, but especially in this tank, you need to remember that that one shot could ruin your entire game. If I didn't have that good of a team, especially if I, let's give our Kron a worthy opponent really quick, and, for example, if I didn't have that good of a team, or if the enemies turned their attention to me, I could have just died that game easily because I bled way too much. I was just lucky that the team was able to help out. So you really need to be mindful of your hit points in this tank. But that's really all I have for you guys in these live games. So, yeah, this is the Leopard 1 guide and review for you guys. So I hope you learned something. I really hope that you will do better in the Leopard 1. Maybe you've improved your gameplay after watching this video. I hope that is true. Feel free to let me know in the comments anything that you have. I may have I obviously did forget something to add into this videos. That just happens literally every video. If you have anything to add on, feel free to add that on the comments, as well as any players that are better than me. You can just add on some other points that you have about the Leopard 1, and if you have any questions for me, feel free to let me know in the comments as well, and I will be sure to answer. And alright, that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you all enjoyed this. I am Anakin Blitz, and I will see you in the next one.